Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, once again, I find myself disappointed by the missed opportunities that characterize this budget that we have before us today. We had an opportunity and a responsibility to craft a budget that would at long last provide our young people and their teachers the support they need to be successful. Yet here we are. Before us today is a half-hearted bill, one that is riddled with embarrassing failures and missteps. This budget continues the tradition carried throughout the past 7 years of failing to fully fund our schools by nearly $2,000 per pupil. This is funding that our classrooms need to provide the latest textbooks, technology, and resources that will help our young people thrive. This budget also continues to fund for-profit charter and cyber schools, despite the lack of transparency or accountability required for-profit schools, leaving us all to question how our tax dollars are truly being spent and furthering the for-profit motive that plagues this body. But the cherry on top of this disappointing budget, this budget forces partnership schools that are by definition struggling the most in our state, to sign an agreement requiring them to hit certain benchmarks at 18 and 36 months. And if they fail to do so, then we are giving ourselves the power to close their doors at their community school or fire at least a quarter of their staff and faculty, regardless of whether the problem is actually due to the faculty or staff. What about poverty? What about wraparound services? What about class size? This punitive component also fails to take into consideration other factors that could be influencing the school's ability. Instead, it forces them to close, throwing families and students into chaos as they have to deal with unexpected childcare costs and must find a new school. Or it could instead put a quarter of the school's staff and faculty out of work and leave them struggling even more to keep their lights on and put food on their table. And as my colleague mentioned earlier too, there's loopholes in there for charter schools that hire for-profit EMOs, that they're the ones that hire the staff. Another loophole. So even worse, this is a retroactive component, meaning those partnership districts from early 2017 could be approaching their 18-month deadline and have to suffer the consequences of this component with little to no warning. This is a policy issue, and it is coming through us in an appropriations bill. Where is the decorum? Where is the process here? This is a budget, not a policy bill. This bill is a disgraceful so-called solution to the difficulties our state schools are facing today, and it does nothing, absolutely nothing, to move us closer to becoming a top 10 state in education, as our late state superintendent worked so hard to make us be. We are at a time when we need to be attracting more teachers to this field and retaining the great teachers that we have. And what are we doing instead? We're telling them it's their fault. It's their fault that their school, that their children aren't getting the education that they need. That is wrong. We need to be supporting our teachers, not firing them, and having them worry where the food is going to come on their table. I am so disappointed that we failed to do right by our young people and the professionals who work day in and day out to prepare them for the opportunities of tomorrow. We should have done better, Mr. Speaker. Our young people are counting on us to do better than what we have here in this budget. I urge a no vote.